Today we will be discussing my take on environmental factors as a main cause of obesity. Environmental factors can be anything from parenting styles to education and even familial wealth. So, as time goes on, more and more individuals are finding themselves unhealthy and gaining more weight than people in past years. The reason why I chose this topic out of countless other options is quite simple. My weight has always been an issue for me, so I kind of take it a bit personally. As a kid, I was always a little bigger than everyone else, and I didn't have any say in my nutrition. Now, there had been times where I did speak up to my mother about wishing to eat healthier and was simply told, "We're not a healthy family," or "That costs too much." Along with that, just about everyone in my family was overweight. So I was completely predisposed to these behaviors, or rather habits, and didn't have any proper education to know any better. As an adult, now, I struggle with getting to what is considered to be a healthy weight. And while, yes, some of that may be due to my own stress levels or motivation or lack thereof, I contribute a large portion of the responsibility to my upbringing. But does this affect me if I don't live in the United States? For a long time, it's always been known that the United States population had the highest percent of obesity rates. There have been jokes and memes passed around for years. But what a lot of people are not talking about is the fact that obesity rates are going up everywhere in the world. This is affecting kids, teenagers, and adults alike. It's actually becoming quite the epidemic. There are growing rates of obesity, not just in the US, but in Turkey and even as far out as China. So, in short, environmental factors and their effects on obesity affect everyone. Because even if it doesn't directly impact someone, it impacts them through someone they know. Now, what's causing this epidemic though? Many things can influence the weight of a population. Environmental factors are the leading cause. To start, the area you grow up in. If a place is really dry out and there's no scenery and no parks, and almost quite literally nothing to do outside, people are going to be more likely to stay inside. This means they're likely going to be sitting down either in front of a computer or a TV or even a book. Now, staying inside doesn't necessarily just have to be because of the outdoor features. Sometimes you're staying inside because you're told to. This is where parenting comes in. The way our parents raise us is huge, and it's something that will last you all the way into adulthood, even if we don't want to admit it. It could be something as simple as overprotective parents not wanting their kids to go outside because they're afraid they'll get hurt or something bad will happen. Even the predisposition of being surrounded by people who are overweight and being under the impression that this is normalcy. With our environment, it can affect the types of food we eat because of what's available to us. High calorie foods versus veggies or fruits. And even the wealth that our family has or doesn't have can affect this majorly. Sometimes eating healthier can be a lot more expensive, especially if those foods aren't something that can be grown locally and have to be shipped in. If a family doesn't have enough money to be able to pay their bills to keep a roof over their head and also buy necessities, they're not going to be able to afford the more expensive, healthier options, and they will resort to the less expensive, high caloric foods that provide next to no nutritional value. But why is it a bad thing to be overweight? Well, there's a few reasons and answers to this single question. When a person is overweight, It can cause a multitude of health issues. This includes illnesses such as coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, and even osteoarthritis, among a string of other concerns. And yes, this does include certain types of cancers as well. With these conditions, the chance of a much shorter lifespan are quite daunting. And to think, when someone is overweight, it's going to be much harder to get things accomplished. Feeling sluggish may very well be a common occurrence in day to day life. Now, it's difficult to feel good about anything when everyday activities are a struggle. And so, with that, a person suffering from being unhealthily overweight is not going to get much fulfillment or joy out of their activities. While there's no immediate answer of how to fix the obesity rates everywhere in the world, there are definitely some things that can be done to help lower these numbers. One of which is really quite simple, and it wouldn't be very costly. Planting vegetables and even fruit trees in public areas to give public access to people would be an incredible start. This would give families that don't have the funds to go out and buy fresh fruits and vegetables the ability to consume them at least some of the time. Whereas that's not perfect, it's a start. Furthermore, adding more parks would be incredibly beneficial. Outdoor parks and even indoor parks for when it's really cold out would give an outlet to children to be able to be active and have fun, thus instilling healthy behaviors to get moving. Now, kind of like the parks, affordable or free gyms could also be built, but not necessarily in the same way as you would envision a gym to be. In various parts of the world, there are gyms incorporated into playgrounds. Now, what I mean by that is these systems are built into a playground to allow a parent to work out while the kid just feels like the parent is playing with them. These types of combination gyms and parks would allow children to see healthy behaviors being exhibited by their parents, promoting a healthier lifestyle, which in turn results in lower obesity rates. But children don't just learn how to take care of themselves by their parents. There's educational materials out there, but if they were more readily available and taught more in public schools, children would grow up understanding a more in depth philosophy as to why our health is so important. This education doesn't have to stop at elementary level. As we grow older, the ways to take care of our bodies can change as well. Having an easy way to access insight for resources to learn better habits is highly important. If this is such a big or rising issue, what's being done to prevent or reverse obesity? In some places, there are more parks being built, and even some schools are choosing to serve healthier and fresher meals for their students. But is this going to be enough? Depending on your job, you may even have access to a gym on your lunch break. But at the same time, if your lunch break is only 30 minutes long, then what good is that going to do for you if you can eat or go work out, but not both? Some may be thinking, well, this doesn't involve me, so I don't care. Except this epidemic is slowly gaining more attention and affects more and more people every single day. This actually makes it quite difficult to not be affected. Even if you're at a healthy weight now, think about the surrounding environment and how over time it can change a person's life. Even friends and loved ones, whether in junior high, college, or even at the point of retiring, this can't go ignored because it affects us all. As a child, or even when we bring a child into this world, they're automatically exposed to their surroundings without a choice. The parent and the environment around them depicts where their health will go, and the decisions of what nutrition will be put into their bodies, and as they grow older, even what level of physical activity they will achieve consistently. If we have some solutions to help resolve the issue, why aren't we doing more about it? Even though the solutions are not very expensive in the long run, there is still a cost to them, and somebody has to pay for that. The government needs to be made more aware of the issue at hand and put more effort and focus on it. With the government in on the notion to make the population healthier as a priority, plans could definitely start going into action to make more nutritional foods readily available, as well as access to equipment to be able to get and stay active. But before diving in too far into the idea that this all lies in the hands of the government alone, that's not all that it would take. People need the education as to why health and weight are important, and also how to maintain the healthy lifestyle. For that, it would need to be figured out as to how to distribute proper information, and also people finding the motivation within themselves to be able to seek out the information and help, and also be willing to make that change for the better, not just for themselves, but for those around them as well. So, in conclusion, it doesn't matter where you are or where you came from, or even who you are or how old you are. Our health is important, and that means keeping our weight in check, at least to an extent. It's up to us to be able to stay informed and to share that knowledge with others that could very well save their life one day. Everyone wants to live a long and happy life, which is hard to do when you're having a lot of medical issues. Life is already stressful as it is. Let's not make it any harder.